All right, hey everybody, welcome back to the eBay shop. My name's Corey.
I'm Teresa.
And we are Grams and Pops Vintage. And today, somebody asked a question, they wanted to know more about our origin story, how we got here, how we got into reselling, and why we're reselling on eBay, like that whole spiel. So we're going to go through it. I know we've touched on it a little bit in the past.
A little.
So we're just going to go through it and kind of talk you through how we ended up becoming eBay resellers, why we're doing it, and as usual, we're also going to talk about a few things that sold. We didn't have a super busy over Christmas weekend type thing. I mean, we made sales, but it wasn't crazy.
Over Christmas, we had good sales. Over New Year's, we did not have good sales.
Yep, that's more like it. So, but we do have plenty of things that need to go out. So we're going to talk about a few of the things that did sell.
Do you know why we didn't have great sales over New Year's?
People were out getting drunk. I don't know.
I was lazy.
We did do a lot of in and sell similar rather than listing, but...
And there were a couple days where I didn't do nothing.
Yep. So we took a break and so did eBay. That's the way it works.
Okay.
All right. So what's the first thing they actually did sell?
We sold a Stampin' Up! Button Buddies rubber stamp set.
Well, this is it, but why do they call it Button Buddies?
They're buttons.
Some of those are huge. They can't be buttons.
But they're buttons.
What kind of buttons? Like, look at that thing. Like,
I don't know. They just
they're
call
not
it Button
buttons.
Buddies.
Okay, so this is what they're calling Button Buddies for some reason. And that sold for how much?
$10 free shipping.
Well, they can call them what they want for $10.
And I have consolidated my 6 shelf Stampin' Up! To 5 shelves.
Yep, I saw that. You cleared the bottom shelf off that we could stick some other stuff on now.
Ooh, DVDs.
It sucks to have to bend over. Put something big so there's just like 2-3 items down there.
I can move all my DVDs, or all my Stampin' Up! Down and put DVDs on top. Games.
Just put big stuff on the bottom shelf. Or put games, whatever you like. All right, what sold next?
We sold a box of football cards. 1988 Topps football cards in cello packs.
Yep, so one of these boxes here. It seems like football season's coming to an end pretty soon. I don't know if it's coming to an end.
It does, February, Super Bowl.
So football is still in full swing and we are selling some cards. I think for a while we were getting underpriced on some of these and now they're starting to sell again. So that went out. Was that full price?
No, that was on an offer of $140.
Okay, so $140 plus shipping on that.
Yep.
All right, so pre-eBay.
I had a life.
No, we didn't. No, we didn't. We've actually been running a business for a long time. We've always kind of had our own business.
Let's rephrase that.
Aye.
Corey is a serial entrepreneur.
Yep.
And he has always had his businesses.
I don't play well with others a lot of times, so I tend to not like working for someone. I do better. What?
You work for me.
I work for you. that has some truth to it. But no, I do tend to work better, and I like working for myself a lot better than working for someone else. So that's what I've done for a few decades.
Since 2000, well, you did your little computer business.
I got called little.
Because it was little. He did a little computer repair business. He fixed computers, whatnot, while I was going to college, or while you were going to.
While you were.
While I was going to college. And that was his very first endeavor into solo.
It has cycled through many things. I basically took the skills from the computer business I learned and went into software development and then hardware development and electrical engineering, and it just kind of kept progressing forward until we ended up deciding to go with e-commerce. E-commerce was kind of the big thing we did before this. We actually ran our own e-commerce website. We ran it on the Shopify platform. The website was for selling like off-grid stuff, tiny house toilets, tiny house appliances.
Composting toilets.
Composting toilets. That was probably our biggest seller was composting toilets.
Composting toilets and stackable washers and dryers.
Yep. So that's what we did. I ran that business for a couple of years until I scaled it up to a size where I needed help. And I was trying to get Teresa into the business, but she made me really work to prove the business could pay her wages and pull her away from her job, which at the time was what?
I have an accounting background. I'm an accountant by trade. I don't enjoy it as much anymore. But yes, I was working for a publicly traded company as a staff accountant.
So getting her away from, she's a big one for security. She likes the stability of a paycheck, which I've always said that any company you work for is just fake stability anyway. They could go out of business as easily as you could.
And I like talking with people.
Yeah, and she liked the social aspect. So it took a lot for me to get her convinced to come work for me or with me rather than where she was. But we did finally get to the point where we did that. And then for about 4 years, we ran that business.
Yep, so that's what we did before.
Yep. And we had a lot of success doing that.
We had an office for a couple years. We've worked out of our house for a lot longer than that. We have had employees.
Yep. So that's what we did before eBay. And we'll talk about kind of why we transition away from that next. But what sold that needs to go out today?
We're finally back to selling individual card packs of the 1988 top cello packs. I did not notice on accident that we only put so many in there to sell. We have a crap ton, but we only put so many in there to sell, and I didn't realize that we had sold out the last one, and it had been that way for a couple months.
Yeah, we usually put like a box of these single packs at a time worth for sale on the store, and then we just keep re-upping the quantity as they sell out.
Yep.
And like she said, we missed this one. It ran out, and it was out for a little while, but we now have these available again. So they are starting to sell again. And that one sold for how much?
$8 plus shipping.
There you go.
The next thing we sold came out of I didn't even know what they were, but we bought a big, huge lot of Littlest Pet Shop for $100. We are way in the profit on it, but I had to Google what these were. But we sold a Moose Toys Zelf Venus Flytrap Spin Salon. Her name is Tressa Venus Flytrap.
Yep. So that's them. They look like a troll. That's what we thought they were when we first saw them. We thought they were troll dolls. And we had to do some looking into them. They're actually called Zelfs. And yeah, never heard of them. I had no idea these were a thing.
Nope.
But we did get a whole like Ziploc baggie full of them. And we sold a lot of them right away.
We sold a couple of them.
And that one sold for what?
$9.99.
$9.90. $9.90.
$9.90.
$9.90. It sold for almost $10.
It did.
All right. Why don't we sell toilets anymore? That's a good question. I'm glad you asked.
Because we live in South Dakota.
It's not because we live in South Dakota, because now it's everywhere.
It is.
We actually, during the time we were in e-commerce and our business was really growing big, they had a major lawsuit going on between the state of South Dakota where we live and a big e-commerce company called Wayfair. So I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard about it. It was the South Dakota versus Wayfair case, where South Dakota was suing to get sales tax from any sales that came into South Dakota from the Wayfair's website.
Even though they didn't have nexus or presence in South Dakota.
Right, because Wayfair wasn't here. So basically they were trying to get precedents in the state to where anybody selling on e-commerce, once they met a certain threshold, would have to start paying sales tax on all their sales in that state. That's kind of what it was all about. Once that case was over and South Dakota had actually won against Wayfair, it opened it up to every state for every e-commerce. It doesn't matter what you are, Amazon, eBay, individuals, like small e-commerce stores like we were, and that complicated things.
Yes, because that meant that based on each state, I'm going to give you the accounting rundown kind of. Based on each state set a limit on how many sales or the dollar amount that you sold within that state. I know I think California was 200 sales, and it's in a 12-month rolling period.
Right.
So it's not just in this year, it's in a 12-month rolling period. If you hit 200 sales and $200,000, that means you have to start collecting tax. You have to register with the state of California or whatever state it is, and you have to start collecting tax and remitting it to that state.
Yep. The catch-22 on that is once you've met Nexus in any state, say we meet Nexus in California, we hit the 200,000 in sales in California. Once we meet that Nexus in any year, from then forward, you now have to file tax. Even if the next year you only do $20 in sales there. It doesn't matter. So once you've met Nexus, you've kind of entered the system and you can't get back out of it
Unless you close your business.
Close your business. So it came to the point where we were starting to get really close to meeting Nexus in a lot of different states. I mean, we were right on the line, and it was starting to get scary. Now,
a full-time job for somebody if you have to try and keep track of, I bet eBay and Amazon have massive accounting departments that keep track of their sales tax. For an individual person that's selling in all the states, to keep track of sales tax in each individual state
keep
and
track
file
of and submit it.
Yep, it's way too much.
Yeah, at the time, there was nothing in place, even for the individual states. Like, you could call a tax accountant here in South Dakota and say, okay, we can't do this ourselves. We need a firm like you to handle this because it's too big for us, because it's in all 50 states. And even the tax accountants at the time were saying, we don't know how. So even the tax accountants at the time didn't really know how to handle it because it had never been done before. And as more and more states started jumping on board, once South Dakota kind of capitalized on that, it became a tax burden on small companies like ours. Like, we couldn't possibly do our jobs and still handle the tax burden they put on us. We would have had to almost hire one employee per state, like call a tax accountant from each state and have them on staff almost in order to keep up with it based on the amount of sales we were doing. So we didn't have a lot of choice but to close I mean, basically the ruling put us out of business.
Kind of.
I mean, we chose to exit the business because there's no way we could handle that many employees.
Yes.
Or that much workload. So it put us out of business. Now, I will say, now there are apps, there are software programs, there are firms that handle this for a lot of different states. They've made it much easier to manage for small businesses. But the transition period tanked a lot of businesses like ours. So yeah, the South Dakota versus Wayfair thing was a huge thing for us. And for anybody who's even had a second moment of thought about, man, I really hate Amazon and eBay fees, count your blessings, because it is a pittance compared to what you would have to pay to handle the tax side of things that they handle. Now, most of us doing eBay aren't doing the kind of sales that would put you into tax nexus in any state.
Some people might.
Some people might. But taking that off your plate is a lot bigger than most people probably think it is. So, all right, but let's jump over and see what else sold.
We sold, out of our first storage unit, we got a whole bunch of sunglasses, and we sold a pair of Oscar de la Renta Lana aviator style sunglasses, and they have an Oscar de la Renta case.
Yeah, so here's the case and a little cleaner.
Don't put your fingers on them.
I'm not gonna. And those little aviator looking glasses. Will those look good on me? I think so. You bet. I could pull that off. Okay, so those little sunglasses, what those sell for?
$14.99 plus shipping.
There you go.
Okay. Christmas is still selling.
Christmas is always still selling.
Yeah, but sometimes it slows down, and usually right after Christmas, people are broke and they're not. They might be thinking about buying their Christmas, adding on to their Christmas villages.
I think so. People break stuff putting it away, or break stuff during the year, and they're trying to replace their decorations.
We sold a Lamax Village Park footbridge. They call them table accents. They're not really table accents. They're village pieces.
It could be. There's that. So it is just like a bridge with some grass and Christmas trees and stuff on it. It's kind of cool looking. What'd that sell for?
$13.49.
Yep. So keep listing Christmas. It keeps selling.
Corey talked about in the last one that it kind of tanked our business. It didn't tank the business. It tanked our views on the business.
Yeah, the business was still going strong.
We did end up selling out our business. We sold it, and just because we did not want to have to deal with is that wrong to say? We didn't want the stress of the whole tax burden, sales tax burden.
Yeah, it just hit at the right time to where there wasn't a great solution for businesses our size. And the right solution for us was to sell the business and just get out of that type of business. If we were running that business today, we probably wouldn't go that same direction, because there are some solutions now.
Yep.
It's just at the time, because it was still fresh and new, it put us in a spot to where we didn't have a lot of choice but to sell. And I know a lot of other small businesses that we networked with at the time also were in the same position and had to sell as well. So we made the decision that year to sell the business.
We sold it. And then we had to figure out what we were going to do with the money, what we were going to do in general.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever been in that position before, but selling your employment it's a weird feeling. During, before, after, the whole thing, when you sell the job you're doing, to where when you're done, you have that nest egg, you get the income from that, but your actual job is gone and you're unemployed.
The one piece with it was, though, we did sell it to somebody we knew, somebody else that was in the e-commerce world. So we still do keep track of it. I still have relationships with
The vendors.
that, that we used to deal with on a daily basis.
Yep.
But then it was, what do we do?
We decided at the time of selling it, we sold it for a decent amount of money, and we were able to kind of stash away a nest egg, something that we knew would get us through for a year or two with our current wages, without changing our style of living, without changing our bills. So basically, we just gave ourselves the same salary we had always been getting. Mm-hmm. And it gave us a 2-year respite to where we could figure out, that's a word.
Respite?
Respite? Respite? Respite?
It's not respite.
A break.
Respite.
It gave us a 2-year time frame to figure out what our job was going to be after that.
Yep.
We didn't want to wait till the end of the 2 years and then have to go rush out and get a job. So we started thinking pretty quickly.
So we sat down, thought about it, tried to figure out what we were going to do with it. Part of it was to put away the money, to be able to have that downtime, to be able to figure out what we were going to do next.
Yep.
And then we didn't just want the money to sit in our bank account. So we decided we bought a building. We bought real estate.
We invested in a piece of commercial real estate right before all this happened. In the midst of getting ready to sell the business and everything, we actually bought this acreage.
Yep.
And that put us in a new town. We were new to the community. We wanted to put some of that money away and make an investment, but we also wanted to tie ourselves to the community. Mm-hmm. So we bought one of the big old brick buildings on their main street here.
Built in 1897.
Yep. It's a very large building. It's like 6,600 square feet per level, and there's 3 levels.
Yep.
And we figured we would put some kind of business into that building.
Yep, we went back and forth. We came up with some ideas. We will tell you about that business in our next video. So stay tuned, watch that video so you can see what we did with our building.
Yeah, we got a question specifically about kind of that question that we will address in the next video. So yeah, stay tuned for that. But that's where part of the money went. The other part of the money went into just living expenses to keep us going while we came up with a new idea. We're both kind of entrepreneurs, and by default, that makes us problem solvers above all else. So it was just another problem to solve. And it took us a little while. It took us about 6 months, maybe a little less.
I'm trying to think of when we sold it and when we started. Because we started selling in eBay we
August.
sold it in April of 2022. And we started eBay
in August.
In August of 2022.
So about 4 months.
Yes.
So after that time period, we actually we settled on giving eBay a shot.
Yep.
Right? And we'll talk more about that in a minute. But what else actually sold do we need to get packed today?
We sold some more Christmas. We sold 2 Lemax Village evergreen trees in the package.
That's those guys right there. They got the little base on them.
That is all that is in that one tote now, our Christmas trees.
We have a ton of these.
And I have not gone through all of these are all
loose
Lemax.
ones.
I haven't gone through all of my Department 56 Christmas trees yet.
Yep. We have a bunch of Christmas trees. What did these ones sell for?
Those ones sold for $8.99 plus shipping. The next thing, I don't even know where we got it from. But we sold a women's classic Roxy brand.
Oh, it says Roxy.
What do you think it said?
I thought it said Rocky. I was like, that's not going to fit
Silver
Sylvester's.
tone watch with a blue and rhinestone dial.
Yep. So this is it. It looked like it said Rocky, but I'm not wearing my glasses, so you'll have to forgive me that.
I have been selling all of our watches untested because I'm not trying to scrape off that back and damage them to be able to put batteries in them.
No. I know some people take these into a jewelry store and just have a whole bunch of batteries replaced at one time. Just do it in bulk and it's cheaper. But we just have a couple, so we sell them as is. And that one sold for how much?
$12.
$12 for untested watch that was, I think that must have been one of our little jewelry boxes or something.
Oh, you know what? I think it came out of one of the jewelry
Bulk buys.
Yep. That we still haven't done nothing with. So we talked about it a little bit before. We decided to give eBay a shot. Corey likes to work by himself. So this gave us a chance to do just that. We don't have to report to anybody. I don't have to report to anybody.
Well, who's the boss?
Me. But so we didn't want to take any money out of our living expenses, our nest egg that we had.
I think the most important thing in the decision making towards going to eBay was we had no idea if it was going to work. We had saw influencers online talking about it. We had watched a ton of videos, or I had, and kind of got the idea that I'd like to give it a shot. But at the time, that's exactly what it was. It was a shot in the dark. We had no idea if it was going to work.
Nope. And some of the first stuff we listed was crap we found around the house, like my Logitech.
Well, the very first thing, the Logitech Harmony. The very first thing we sold was a bobblehead we picked up at Goodwill. But yeah, we had no idea if this was going to work, so I didn't want to be using our nest egg money that was funding us living to fund this new startup. So we decided to bootstrap it, and we needed to come up with some money, which in retrospect, in hindsight, however you want to say it, I probably wouldn't do it that way again.
No.
But it worked out good for us, kind of.
It did. We had a car, an old 1971 Dodge Charger.
Yep, old project car. Yeah, it was kind of the typical project, like hot rod project car that people get 90% of the time. They get halfway into them, then they sit for a few decades. It was that car.
It had been in storage for
years,
5-6 years.
So basically, we took that old project car and we put it up for sale, and we ended up giving it away for way cheaper than what it was worth. But we wanted some startup money.
Yep, and we wanted to quit paying storage fees.
And we wanted to quit paying the storage fees, so we were knocking out two birds with one stone. And we sold that car for what?
I think it was $1,000. Was it $1,000 or was it $1,200?
It was $1,000.
With the trailer.
With the trailer was on. Yep. So it knocked out our storage problem, and it also gave us $1,000 to start this eBay thing. And then we took that $1,000 and went and made a whole bunch of bad decisions.
Sure. I don't think they were all bad.
They weren't.
Because we did sell a lot.
Yeah,
some of them were bad. Yeah.
Like I said, the very first thing we bought was this bobblehead from the Goodwill that we sold like the day after we bought it for $109. And that kind of gave us the bug. Like right away, it felt like it could work, but it took us months before we actually said, okay, we think this might be a real thing that we could actually make a living on and get back to the standard of living we were used to. So that $1,000 we bought a lot of stuff with, some good, a lot bad, but we learned. We learned a lot with that $1,000, and it didn't cost us anything because that was money we didn't have anyway. It just got rid of a problem, and it gave us disposable income to go throw at products and learn some lessons that I think everybody learns, whether you start broke or not. I think you make bad buys regardless.
We do, and part of what we did, which we still tell people to this day, don't necessarily watch the picker videos. They're good to learn from some, but watch the sold videos because
see what's sold instead of what people are buying, because what they buy doesn't really make any difference. Matter of fact, what they sold doesn't make any difference unless you check it and it does comp out well for you. So that in one giant convoluted, very wordy nutshell is how we got into eBay. That's how we got here.
Well, that's how we got into eBay. That's not how we got here.
Well, they don't need to hear the bedroom stories of our parents.
I wasn't talking about that here. I'm talking about the YouTube here.
Yeah, that's a good question too. Do we talk about that?
That Pops just decided one day that we were going to start recording ourselves, or he was going to start recording himself?
Well, it was part of the business plan from the beginning.
It only got better when I joined, so it's okay.
Oh, it did. So being part of e-commerce and marketing in the beginning with our old business, a lot of my job was just marketing. So I knew something about the online marketing and generating traffic. When we decided to do eBay, I wanted to hedge my bets a little bit, and I wasn't sure if eBay was going to pay us enough for both of our salaries.
Well, YouTube ain't paying enough for both of our salaries right now either.
So I did initially in the business plan set a goal that, okay, I'm going to crush YouTube and do eBay at the same time. They work together, and I'm going to make
going for you?
half my money. Yeah. I'm going to make half my money on YouTube or social media in whatever aspect, rather it be affiliate income or ads or whatever. Half of it comes from there, half comes from eBay. That was the plan.
Again, how's that going for you?
Plan's only good until the first shot's fired, right? And this one was no different. YouTube doesn't pay. I mean,
they do.
well, YouTube
Like
don't pay
this
us.
much. It would pay. I'd make more stripping in a night.
Yep.
I'm not stripping. Don't get me wrong. I am not stripping, and I am not joining OnlyFans. But I would make more in a night stripping than I would YouTube.
I could probably make more on OnlyFans, and that's saying something. Like, we don't make money on
No.
YouTube.
I think we do it.
So
I know for me, I do it just because it's entertaining. But it is cool to see other people that like us.
it kind of ties us in with a lot of people in the community, which I enjoy, the community aspect, especially when you're doing it through a camera and you're not face to face all the time. That part of like an online community is something that's pretty appealing, and it's a lot of fun to be a part of. I think it also gives us a creative outlet, which you don't get a lot of that in a normal job. What's so funny?
I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, so it's just nice to break away from the rigorous listing, shipping, whatever,
Yeah.
to entertain people.
So it's still fun for us. We are still, or I am still hopeful that someday it will provide half of our income. We're nowhere close there, but at this point, if it doesn't, it doesn't. We are having fun with it, and at least for now, until it is no more fun, we'll keep doing it. So that's
No more? You mean until it isn't fun?
till it's not fun
Yeah.
any longer. Something like that.
Hooked on phonics.
So that's it. There's the origin story.
Okay, let's talk about the last couple things that we sold.
What do we got?
We sold the last one of our NCAA football 2009 PS2 game.
Yep. So there's that one going out. And we had to polish a lot of these up with those resurfacers, that thing will wear your arms out. We just got one of the little hand crank ones.
Yes.
But that one sold for how much?
$11.99 free shipping.
There you go. And last but not least,
You can't say that. You told me I couldn't say that.
you can't say it, I can say it.
We sold a Littlest Pet Shop, totally talented Minka Mark monkey.
Minka Mark monkey, tiny little guy.
It's a girl.
Girl, it is a girl. Pigtails and pink, I'm going to assume that's a girl, and if we misgender a Littlest Pet Shop, we'll be forgiven, I'm sure. That one is what? Well, sold for what?
That one sold for $3.99 plus shipping.
There you go.
Oh, so before we go, did I tell you there was one item that we sold that one day? It was not a day that we record, but we had an actual viewer sale.
I think I remember you telling me it was a viewer sale. I just don't remember what it was. Well, this is great YouTube.
Sorry, I can't remember what it was. She came in and she bought a set of the brand Gantz stainless steel measuring spoons.
Oh, that's right. Yep, I remember those.
And she told us that she is a subscriber, and she loves watching our videos and our eBay store. Thanks for all the advice for beginners who are starting out selling. Keep up the awesome entertainment, but would love to see more sourcing videos.
Who was it?
Let me see if I'll give her just her first name. Her name is Laura.
Thank you, Laura.
From Florida.
We appreciate it. Those help a lot. We get very few of them, but when they do come in, we really appreciate them. So anybody that's bought from us before, make sure you leave a note if you do so we can say thank you. And we don't record every day. We only record one day a week. So if we miss you, hang tight. We might catch you on the next one, but thank you very much.
Yes.
And I think that's it. I think we're going to get busy packing so we can get out of here today. We are running super late.
But we are late. But today is a holiday.
Yeah, we don't have to get to the post office today. We just got to get packed up into town so we have groceries for
Yep.
eating tonight, which is way more important than the post office.
Okay. That's it.
See you later.
Hasta la vista, baby.